Hi there. Um, okay, so this is a very impromptu video. And no, I'm not coming to you directly from heaven. There's just an awful lot of light coming through the window behind me, which is exposing the image, so don't worry. Um, Yesterday, I went to the office for the first time in over a year, and I had a chance to work with my colleagues for the very first time. And I released a video at the start of this week about my thoughts on doing that. And all I've heard yesterday and this morning is people asking me, "What was it like? What's it like? What's London like now?" And I just wanted to do a really quick video, and it has to be really quick. I have to get this out today because the story is evolving, and by next week this will be irrelevant, and in a month's time, hopefully, it'll be incredibly irrelevant. But this is my observations of what it was like working in the City of London yesterday on the 21st of April 2021. And yeah, so I live out in Chesham, which is on the Metropolitan line out on Zone 9. I caught the train in at 6:30, and it was absolutely empty until around about 7 o'clock ish when we got to kind of Zone 4 ish sort of area. I think that's Pinner around there. And it started to fill up a little bit there. But even at that point, there was a lot of social distancing. People were respectful. Um, Everybody was wearing masks, although a few people, as always, were wearing them over their mouth and chin rather than over the nose. So, you just have to live with that. Anyway, going to the town, into the city, the train filled up around about Finchley Road, and it started to get a little bit busier then, and that's when people started to live. So people started to sit next to each other, and there was just really hardly any avoiding that. It was just getting busier. But as soon as people started to get off again at Baker Street, it was fine. People started to spread out again, and so people were being sensible on the trains. Is I guess what I'm trying to say here. I did hear that some of the commuter trains coming in from other areas were very busy. Some of the commuter trains that go through very busy networks. So trains going through Croydon, for example, into London, they were empty because there's just the high volume of the trains. Whereby I've got 2 trains per hour, so there's no avoiding people on mine. The city itself was quiet, as you'd expect. People out going to work. Some of them, all of them were actually wearing masks in the station. Not many people wearing masks on the street. I was wearing masks the whole time because I've got hay fever, and I've discovered that there's a virtue in having these bloody masks, so that's really good. And I found it really good. I met up with a colleague outside of the office before going in because I haven't even got my ID pass to get into the building. So I met up with a colleague and we agreed to go and grab some breakfast. And we went to the first Pret we could find, and it was closed. And that was an unusual thing in itself. But as you know, in central London, in the city, you can't walk for more than 5 minutes without coming to another Pret. And that's exactly what happened, and that one was open. So I'd say that from my observation, it looks like about a third of the Prets are closed, and it looked like later on in the day, I had a look around and saw some of the fast food takeaway places were still closed as well. Um, and I went through Leadenhall Market later on in the day, and I could see there were restaurants in there that had signs up saying were temporarily closed, and they were dated March 2020. So that was quite sad to see that that's still the case. Um, but I guess that's just something that's going to have to take time. We have to take time to recover from that. The office was really, really quiet. Um, big office, beautiful office that I'm working in. So I've got no complaints about going there. Wonderful facilities, but really, really quiet. Maybe 10 people on a whole floor that could probably occupy about over 150, maybe more. So that was my observation of that. Um, Afterwards, we went out at lunch. Oh, sorry. Actually, whilst we were in the office, there was a really nice moment where at the very start of the day I was working on a pivot table, and I've done Excel tutorials, but I hate pivot tables, and I couldn't make this damn pivot table do what I wanted it to do. And usually on these kind of conference calls, you have to ask people of, say, a WebEx system, hey, does anybody know this? And in this case, I just stood up at my desk and said, does anybody know how to use pivot tables? And one of my colleagues put his hand up and claimed he did. Turned out he didn't as well as he thought he did. I'm not going to name any names. But yeah, so in fact, to compromise on the bloody pivot tables. So I'm going to be looking for a YouTube channel that can teach me how to do that, and then I'll teach you. Yeah, anyway, it was really good to be around these people, around the colleagues, people who've become friends over the last year, despite not actually having been in person with them. And you'll find, if that's the case, people look quite different in person in 3D. We kept talking about seeing each other in 3D, and it was really nice because people do look very different, and it's something that you'll have to test and see. And yeah, it was a really good experience. It was really great to be around the team, and as much as I know that I can do my job effectively remotely, there was something incredibly refreshing about being around people, and you just got a sense that collaboration is just so much easier in person. And just being able to pop over to somebody and say, hey, how about this, blah blah blah, rather than have to book an appointment to get a slot with someone. And then, you know, it's like you book an appointment and Outlook defaults to 30 minutes, and unless you remember to shorten that, then you end up taking a big chunk of their time, and you end up wasting each other's time in a way. Whereby in this case, the interactions were much faster. You get cooperation a lot quicker, and you can just get on with your day and get things done. So that was really good. And then we went out at lunch, and we actually went to the Sterling down at the base of the Gherkin, and it was absolutely packed. We sat outside, and the whole area outside there is fully seated now, and nobody was allowed inside unless to use the restrooms. It was absolutely busy, really packed, and a pretty good vibe, although it was freezing cold. So I got nicely chilled sitting there, but it was the first time I'd actually been to a pub in over a year, and coincidentally the last time I'd been to a pub was that pub. It was the Sterling, and that was over a year ago. So that was quite an interesting experience, and it was a good experience. Anyway, from there I did actually, rather than go straight to the railway station to head home, I did actually have a walk around later on, and I just got a feel of the town. Leadenhall Market was quite busy. They've got outdoor seating with a shelter, which is quite nice. A lot of people there. It was very vibrant. Every table was taken, and that was, you know, it was good to see people out being sociable, mingling, that kind of thing. What I noticed in most places was there are now arrow systems pointing you around, so it's like there's one-way systems around offices and shops. So just if you're going into the city, be ready to encounter that, and also be ready to encounter the people who inevitably don't notice the arrows and are walking around in the wrong directions. So I get the impression people are trying to do social distancing, but you know, not through maliciousness, but just from forgetfulness. They're not doing it entirely. They're not doing it as well as perhaps intended. And then the journey back, train was pretty much empty, or ish, all the way. It was really weird going through places like Moorgate, Liverpool Street, at rush hour times, and seeing 2 or 3 people on the platform. That was perhaps the most surreal part of the day. The office being empty, you know, I always go to the office on a Friday anyway, when most people who get a choice of working from home end up working from home on the Friday for some reason. Something to do with Thursday night drinks, I'm told. But in the office on a Friday morning around about 8:30, that's what the whole day was like. So to me, it wasn't as weird as perhaps it was for everyone else. For me, the strange thing was the train stations being as quiet as they were during the rush hour on the way home. But yeah, that's about it. It was great to be in the city again. Sometimes you don't realise how much you miss a place until you go back there. It was really sad to see so many places that are still closed. Oh, I went to Spitalfield Market as well and had a little bite to eat before heading home as well. And the food courts that are there were all open. There were a few that had closed, but I spoke to one of the guys and he said they were all open during the day. They just closed because it was just the time of day they normally close. And that looked quite vibrant in there as well in Spitalfield Market. So if that's your kind of scene, great place to go. Great place to go and great food. And oh my goodness, I just realised that it's not so much influential PMO today, it's more like influential tourist recommendation guide or something. And now it's the influential culinary guide. So yes, Spitalfield Market gets 5 stars from me. And yeah, and then got back home and it was great. So it was really good to see everybody. And I'm now 2 minutes late to do the day job. So everyone I was happy to see yesterday are probably going to be really annoyed at me in a few minutes. So I better bounce and I'll look forward to catching you next time. Take care. Bye.